Captain's Log, May 13th, 2015. I just got finished watching the Supergirl First Look from CBS, and how crazy is it that we already have this much footage for this show this far out? 6.5-minute trailer that's less of a trailer and more of a breakdown of what the pilot's gonna look like. Now, I don't know how much of the footage in this is just pilot and how much stuff might be from after this. There's some stuff in this about a program for trying to deal with super beings. Who knows if that's actually going to come up in the pilot. But anyway, I would have expected maybe a pilot, maybe a trailer this early, although even a short trailer this far out would have been amazing to get this early for a show like this. This is a lot like that lengthy pilot first look thing we got for Flash just before that came out. And when I did a video on that, I remember saying it was cool that it was neat to get a sense of what the tone of the thing was, but I felt like I'd kind of already seen the first episode. And that is somewhat true for this as well, although I don't have any sense whatsoever of what the main antagonist is going to be in the show, or at least in the pilot. I don't know if this is going to be a Freak of the Week kind of thing. I imagine it's likely to be, given the setup for, again, that group that's dealing with, I said super beings, I guess extraterrestrial threats. So that's cool if the show is dealing more with threats from outer space than dealing with your typical Freak of the Week, somebody's got superpowers thing that we've been dealing with a lot in Flash and that Smallville did ad nauseum. So anyway, I want to talk about the general tone of this thing, because, and it's really nice to have something this long in a way, even though, I mean, I always resist this to a degree because it's really early, and again, I feel like I've already kind of seen too much. At the same time, what I really like about seeing this much this early in at least making a video like this is that I have a really good sense, I think, of what the tone of the show is going to be, what this actress is going to be like, Melissa, what is it, Benoist? Yeah, Benoist. The overall tone of this, best I can describe it, at least what it looks like from this 6.5 minutes, reminds me a lot of Lois and Clark. It's like an updated Lois and Clark, where we're focusing on a female protagonist instead of a male protagonist. Melissa Benoist strikes me as the female Dean Cain, even. It looks like it's going to be a show that focuses heavily on relationship drama. What we've seen so far, I think, looks like really, really typical relationship drama, but at least I know what I'm getting myself into right out the gate. At least it's not a show that's going to act like it's going to be fresher than that, and then all of a sudden we get stuck into love triangles and stuff. You can already see that from the very beginning. It looks like it's appealing to a similar crowd that Lois and Clark did, and it looks like it's appealing to kind of a soap opera crowd. And it looks like it's likely to be really soap opera, which is not what I want, certainly, but again, at least I know what I'm getting myself into right out the gate. It definitely looks like it's not taking itself too seriously, and that's the big takeaway for me from this, is that it looks like it's kind of jumping off of the success of Flash and saying, let's do another bright, lighthearted kind of show that maybe can get into heavier drama as we go along eventually, but at least starting right out, it's a story about somebody who has superpowers and has the responsibility to use them in a helpful way, do the right thing, and loves being a superhero. And that's the thing that I'm most excited for. Melissa Benoist looks fantastic. Forget all of the soap opera stuff and the relationship drama that looks like really obvious and typical, and a lot of the kind of PC gender stuff. I really like what little we've seen so far of Melissa Benoist's performance. She seems like she's eating this up with a spoon, and it seems just really excited to get to play this part. I like her in the role. She's, first of all, just visually, aesthetically, she's very attractive, but not supermodel. She seems like kind of a everyday looking kind of girl, which at least you know when she's Kara, and then when she puts the suit on, she looks legendary. They found somebody that's able to do both really well, just like Christopher Reeve did with Clark Kent and Superman. She definitely has that Clark Kent Superman thing going on. She's bumbling when she's Kara, and she's not when she's Supergirl, and she's the larger-than-life legend kind of character. And the only thing I'm not loving about that is that we're in a world that already has Superman in it, so it feels like retread even though we haven't dealt with him. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll get back to that in just a second. With her, though, she seems incredibly genuine, and the thing that I'm excited most about it is that just like The Flash in his pilot, she seems to just love being Supergirl. It's everything that people kind of missed with Man of Steel, or that a lot of people kind of wish that we'd had with Man of Steel, was more of the sense of awe and wonder of having the privilege of getting to do all these things that regular people can't, and that trade-off of, yeah, I have this responsibility and I have to make a lot of sacrifices in order to save the world, but part of the trade-off is I also get to do all these wonderfully spectacular things, and look how much fun it is to be a superhero. And this is anything but joyless, certainly, and a lot of that splendor is back in it, which I really appreciate. And she seems like she's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, it really does remind me quite a bit of Dean Cain. What I'm not sure about is this whole business of let's have a show where Superman is there already, but not actually have Superman in the show. And I think there's been talk that maybe eventually we'll actually see him and have screen time with him, and I really hope that happens, because there are several places where he's mentioned in just the 6 minutes, and there's a thing toward the end where Jimmy Olsen gives her, I guess he's Superman's pal in this also. It seems like maybe, and I guess he's like the gopher where Superman doesn't have enough time to, even though he, can super speed and can almost be at 2 places at once with his superpowers, it sends Jimmy Olsen to bring messages to Supergirl and deliver things to her. And so she gets a present from him at the end, and I don't love that. If we're going to have Superman in this universe, let's not tiptoe around it and try to play it like, wouldn't it be cool if you got to see Superman, but we're going to tease you and not let you get to see him. I mean, I guess what that affords you is playing Superman as an even more larger-than-life, kind of like godlike sort of figure, if you never actually see him. But I don't know ultimately what the point of that is, because it makes her feel like this second-string character. It's sort of like I mean, it's better than the prequel reimagining thing often is, but it still is sort of like that, where it's like, we're gonna give you sort of the show that you want, but part of the alleged fun of tuning in every week is to almost get what you want, but not quite get it. So with Smallville, it was, you're never going to get to see him fly, but we're going to constantly tease you with it, and you're never going to get to see him in the costume until the last episode, and even then, only sort of. But we're going to constantly tease it and make references to it, and be really ironic and cute about it. And this looks like it's kind of going to do that with Superman. And I think that's throwing her under the bus just a little bit, because it looks like there's a genesis for all of her, for everything, with her powers and with, especially, like, I think it's kind of strange, for instance, that she's a 20-something's Supergirl, but she still doesn't know how to fly yet right away. I mean, at least, or isn't even sure if she's able to. She jumps a few times and now she can fly. At least it's not the Smallville thing where we have to wait a long time before she finally is able to do that. I mean, I like that she's doing that right out the gate, but she already knows she has some powers. Do they, and I guess we'll find out, but I guess the question for me is, like, do they, does she develop them over time? Why is she just now figuring out how to do it? Did it never come up before? Because it seems like, you know, if I could fly, it seems like I would have much earlier used that for something. It just seems like it's weird to have the genesis for all these things, for the costume and the name and all those things, when we already have Superman and you're kind of just copying him. You've got the Lois and Clark thing from that pilot in this, even, of the development of the costume and trying to figure out what that should look like. And it's just kind of bizarre, because ultimately what they come up with is exactly what you would expect, which is a Superman suit made for a girl. Why did we need to spend really any time on that? But I guess we'll see how it plays in the actual pilot, and I don't want to review the thing too much before we've actually seen it. I just sort of feel like I've almost seen it already, because we got so much stuff already. I will say certainly that, and I guess, you know, in talking about this, I've told you about quite a bit of stuff, but if you have not watched it yet, and you're excited to see this show on its own terms and not know what you're going into, don't watch this thing, because it gives you quite a bit. She has what looks like could be a really, really obnoxious female boss, who I'm going to be really surprised if that's not the main series antagonist. And if she doesn't turn out to be some kind of costume supervillain, and if it doesn't end up being sort of like a Catwoman thing, I mean, I hope not, but maybe they'll pull it off better than that did. I don't know. But we haven't gotten a sense yet of any costume villains or anything like that, but we didn't with Flash either, because that was mostly just dealing with the pilot. I mean, I guess with that we knew about Weather Wizard because he just had superpowers, but in this it's kind of just, okay, there's maybe going to be some threats from space, and then there's this boss that is hard for her to get along with, and you know, is the person who names her. So anyway, I guess we'll I guess we'll see as we move along if there are going to be some fun costume characters in the show. I still wish this was set in the Arrow and Flash universe. It feels very much like it would fit in with all of that. I guess some people still think it's going to. I want to say that is it Berlanti or Kreisberg that's involved with this, that finally it was announced that this was not going to be in that universe. I guess moving forward they could suddenly decide it was, but I don't see how that works if everybody here already knows about Superman, because he's never been mentioned in Arrow and Flash, and furthermore, in that universe, it still feels to me like, at least thematically and character-wise, Flash is kind of the Superman for that world, and Arrow is kind of the Batman for that world. I wish Supergirl got to just be her own entity in this and didn't have to live in Superman's shadow. That's kind of the big bummer for me right away. We'll see if they handle it better moving along, and if they actually cast Superman and he gets to pop in every now and again, but I think that the pilot would get a lot more credibility right out the gate if we actually had a mentor Superman for a minute, kind of like Young Justice, you know, where you had the I almost said the Super Friends, where you had the Justice League who came in and they were mentoring the members of Young Justice a little bit, and but it was still, you know, their show, and every now and again those characters would pop in and out. I wish we had something like that more for this show if we have to have Superman here, but having him in the background and never actually showing up and talking to Supergirl, I think is gonna come off as lame, and the show is probably gonna play it like it's like it's cute or something, and like it's fun to make us yearn for that and not give it to us, or maybe finally give it to us and make a big, huge, giant deal out of it. But it's gonna feel, however they do it, it's gonna feel incredibly contrived when they finally get there, because you're like, why didn't we get this before? So anyway, I don't know. Maybe it'll happen early, and they're teasing us with it now, but then they'll actually, you know, go all the way with it. I don't know if this is going to make it. I feel like if this show was on CW, now that I know what the tone of it's going to look like and stuff, if it was on the CW, I think it would have no problem whatsoever, especially spinning out of Arrow and Flash. I do think that more folks are going to watch this than might have if they, at least general audiences. I think first of all, I think comic fans are going to pan this like mad after they see this 6-minute intro thing. I think a lot of comic fans are gonna call this typical and watered down, and it kind of is those things. I guess it's, or at least it looks like it's probably gonna to a degree be those things. But you know, at least, you know, at least because of jumping off of Flash and Arrow, or especially Flash, we've got a full-blown costume. I think it looks pretty good. I don't know why it doesn't have yellow behind it, but whatever. It looks kind of good. I also don't know why it's not a little bit brighter, given that it's such a bright show. It's still got that sort of somewhat muted, a little bit darker blue thing, and I don't know why that is. That's minor. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't matter. It looks fine. But I think a lot of general audience folks are probably gonna, you know, jump off from Flash and say, hey, this looks like more of that, but with a girl this time, and you know, I'm enjoying how jovial and bouncy and fun that show is. So maybe they'll look at that. But I think a lot of comic book fans are gonna take one look at this and run for the hills. I guess we'll see, but I'm looking at it kind of like Lois and Clark, and you know, as cheesy as that show was, I loved it for what it was, and I can handle a little bit of cheese every now and again. So you know, obviously, I'm gonna give it a shot. We're gonna cover it on Crisis and see how it is, and if nothing else, the lead actress looks like she's a great pick, and that she's having an absolute blast. And if she's having fun, I might be able to have fun with it, even if it's not, you know, as spectacular and you know, fresh and new as it could be. Anyway, if you saw it, what do you think of it so far? Leave your comments, let me know what you think, and in the meantime, I appreciate you watching. I'm Captain Logan, and this concludes today's Captain's Log.